cans, on the soda cans, things like that. This is so that when we pour it, we get as much aluminum and as little crap as possible. Now, please, if you're going to be doing this, right now I'm using the tongs I've been using to put in the aluminum cans. It's a horrible thing to do to your tongs. Get a stirring hook. The reason I'm not using mine is because what I ordered is still in transit. Give that a few minutes and then we will see what I can pour out into the muffin pans. Now, another thing is, these tongs are too small for this crucible. So, make sure you properly size your equipment, unlike me. I am being an example. It just happens to be a method example. Okay, time to start. Once I lift this out, my partner will shut the fire off so that we're not wasting propane. Yes, I'm using a muffin pan. Mainly because that way, when I decide to reuse this aluminum, it will already be in relatively easy to use sizes. Now, see all this? This is mostly because I forgot to put borax in the bottom of the crucible. I will do my best to flip this over, and this is why you need better tongs than this. Did I get most of the crud out of my crucible without cracking it? Most of it. See how I still have some molten aluminum and stuff in the bottom? I'm gonna have to wait until I refire my furnace to try to burn that loose, because that's mostly stuck. Now, so that my crucible doesn't cool too quickly, I don't want to have to buy another. I'm going to do that and let them cool together. If you are working outdoors, try to do this on a day where you're pretty sure it's not going to rain, because the plaster mix that makes the lining and your lid will dissolve in the rain. Keep them out of water. So not bad. About a 30-gallon trash bag full of aluminum cans that if I had taken them to the recycling center here, I would have gotten about 14 cents. I now have 3 pretty good sized aluminum ingots and 2 littleish ones. But the nice thing about metal is you can always remelt it, you can always recast it. And even if I don't, they're kind of fun. Okay, I got bored, so instead of waiting for these to fully cool, I am going to take a look at how it discolored the fire brick. Do that. Good thing I'm wearing gloves. Oh, use your tongs. I'm always an example, frequently a bad one. Now, see the discoloration on the bottoms of these? That's because this was a brand new non-stick pan, and that's what's left of the non-stick coating. If you notice the dimpling, especially on this one. Now, check the water, not the metal. Okay, The water's a little too hot to touch, so I'll pull it out with the tongs instead of my fingers. See how there's a divot on the bottom of this one? That's because when you pour hot metal into a cold container, it will jump up and try to pull away from the cold container. That's why if you're going to try to do a really nice finish pour for, say, a piece of jewelry or a statue, what you're pouring into needs to be warm ahead of time. Your casting mold needs to be warm if you want a pretty finished product. If you're just doing rough work like this, that was room temperature. It was out here. But that's a lot more fun than a pile of aluminum cans. And depending on where you are, if you're doing this just for scrap value, most scrap yards would much prefer to get an ingot like this so that they know that it doesn't have sand or dirt or lead melted into it. Because part of the reason so many places have stopped accepting crushed aluminum cans is because people put things in them, and then whoever has to melt them down has to deal with whatever's in there. I'll leave these be for a few more minutes, and then when they're cool enough to actually handle comfortably, I'll do that. Okay, now it's only been a few more minutes. I poured the water back off, and as you can see, this little one's already cool enough to handle. Now, if you're going to be recasting this, I do recommend that you polish the discoloration off, because that way, when you remelt this for a casting project, you'll have little or no slag at all, because you already burnt all the crud from the cans away. And this is mostly just a nice little chunk of fairly pure aluminum. Super light. Now, this one's still a little warm, but you can handle it. But see how this also has the dimple? That's where when I first poured the aluminum in, it started to cool and immediately pulled away from the cold surface, creating a little void. Now what's funny is this one, the pan was already hot enough from other metal going in, because metal transfers heat quite well, that it doesn't have the little pull away. It just has the discoloration from burning off the non-stick coating. Now, if you're going to be playing with things like this, polish down the sharp edges, especially if you're going to let kids or someone who's accident prone handle it. Because aluminum holds quite a good edge. Fairly sharp.